Hello there! My channel is best known for animations, usually of dinosaurs or other prehistoric creatures, but I haven't done one in a while because I'm very busy. I have a day job, you know. So today I thought I'd take you through a little bit of my workflow, show you how I've made the animations that I've made thus far. This is going to be one part tutorial, one part cautionary tale, and one part cry for help. So firstly, the big burning question, I've had it several times from several people, what software do I animate in? Well, I animate using Macromedia Flash 8 from 2007. This software is 12 years old. Basically, I'm a cheapskate and I don't want to be paying a monthly subscription to the Adobe Creative Cloud. Plus, it's the same software that I've been using for at least 10 years and it's just ingrained in me. This is the only interface I know how to use. I would love to upgrade to something newer and more intuitive, but I'm lazy. I don't want to have to relearn an entire interface and I'm a cheapskate. That's just yeah. So how do I go about animating a dinosaur? Well, we're going to start off, we've got a nice wholesome little hadrosaur here. What is he? Is he a Corythosaurus? Is he a Chindausaurus? Is he an Olorotitan? Doesn't matter. He's just a happy little dinosaur. This is a tech demo. This isn't going to be a fully fledged animation. This is just a tech demo, show you how I do things. So firstly, I've scanned in this drawing that I've done. It's a very simple structural drawing. You can see there's a few construction lines and things left in there. This is basically just to give me the form of the dinosaur, just the general shape and volume, I guess. Now, I animate using motion tweens because I grew up on an age of the internet with the likes of Cooking with Bigfoot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lock this layer down, and on a separate layer in a different colour, I'm just going to draw over my sketch. I'm going to bring the camera down a bit. Again, it's fascinating, isn't it? Now what we want to do is we're going to make a separate piece for each part of him that moves. If a body part remains static, it's going to be one piece. So we've got our first basic outline of our little dinosaur, and I'm going to look up some unusual animal colours for inspiration. Ooh, globe-horned chameleon, I like the look of him. So on a separate layer underneath the outline, we're going to put the colours. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the reddish brown colour go up the crest, and then that kind of creamy colour is going to dot the crest in some nice patterns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this the lazy way, is I'm going to follow just underneath the outline. Okay, and once I've got that outline, boom, just fill that in. Slightly blue-green around the eyes, so we'll apply that. That looks pretty good. We might have to darken the red, and then a few stripes running over his crest. The crown, the spine of the crest. Now the eye, what I like to do, see we get right in close, finishing touch, this is something I always add to my creature's eyes, a spot of white in their eye. Gives them a little bit of life. Now I'm going to select the outline layer and we're going to change it to black. You ready for this? Bam! Yeah! It's alright, isn't it? Now I'm going to select all that, we're going to go modify, convert to symbol. This will be Hadro Head. And that is now a symbol which we can apply motion tweens to. Now the next part is we're going to add some shade. We want to add a new layer, select the black, apologies for the ringing, that's the dog. We're going to bring the alpha down to 50%, we might change this depending on if it looks okay. So we're going to come in and we're going to add the shading, we're going to add some shade here, add a bit here, we're going to add some shadows here to imply the texture of his beak. You can only see shadows. Oh man, how many people watching this are old enough to remember that bit of classic internet entertainment? It is weird sometimes, like I'll get up, I'll log on to my YouTube studio, I'll check, you know, incoming comments, and it is easy to forget that there's a large number of people using YouTube who are literally children. And there we go, that's one dino head. That's just the top of his head. It's going to be a piece that moves independently. Now we're going to do that for every moving piece of his body. Oh god, before we do that, save. Jesus Christ, we have to save. Cannot tell you the number of times that I have forgotten to save and lost literally hours of work into the void. So there we go, about 40 odd minutes later we have a simple little cartoony looking dinosaur. Look at him, isn't he lovely? He's my friend, and also very dead because he's a dinosaur. And now we need to get him to do stuff. So we're going to create a symbol. Now what we're going to do here, we're going to just take a blob, convert to symbol, we are going to select graphic because graphics can be animated, they move independently. Open it up, clear that, we don't need that. Now we're going to add a bunch of layers and we're going to put all these hadrosaur pieces in place. There we go, he is complete. I wonder what that feels like. So I want this guy to do a very simple little loop, just nomming on some foliage. I'm going to have him lean back a bit. Actually, he's already leaning back. Let's bring him forward a little. Move his legs, shift them forwards a tiny bit. Onion skinning. Yeah, when you zoom in to see it at this level, it's apparent this is not a professional job. I think we'll have his head forward a bit, so I'm going to tilt his neck forward and bring his head and his jaw forward. Yeah, this is another downside of Flash 8. It doesn't have a bone rigging tool, so I can't articulate it like a skeleton. Help! Between there, and we're going to select these. We're going to set motion. Yeah, he moved! Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this a little bit longer, and in the last, let's say, last 5 frames, I'm going to have him open his jaw. Okay, not bad. I feel like I need a bit more motion in the tail. Let's ease out by 50%, see how that looks. And there we go, a simple little animation cycle of a nice little dinosaur eating some food. Looks alright, doesn't it? Again, not a super complicated thing, this is just a bit of fun to show you how I do things. Also, I make no illusions about my talent level. So we're going to save that. Now, we're going to make the background. We're going to export this image. Exported that, right. Now, we switch software. My back is killing me. Welcome to Affinity, because once again, I'm a cheapskate who doesn't want to pay for a monthly subscription to the Adobe Creative Cloud. Affinity basically has all the functionality of Photoshop except you buy it once. Personally, I think that should be the way with all software, but not going to get into that. So we're going to make a background for our lovely dino boy. Now, this is where my laziness really shows, because we could build a lovely, lush jungle environment right from scratch. However, what I'm going to do is I am going to import one of my many pre-saved assets. And all we're going to do is just fill the background with trees that I already have assets for. You can go back and watch all of my dinosaur animations. It's the same few trees between them. I know it's not particularly artistically integral, but it's a time-saving tool, okay? I don't have the time, the talent, or the patience to spend hours upon hours drawing and painting entirely new trees for every new frame of the animation. I know my limits, okay? I'm not Charles friggin' Knight. I'm not Mark Whitten. I'm not Brian Eng. Those guys all have talent and integrity. I've just got 12-year-old animation software and a folder full of shortcuts. There we go, perfect, just what we need. Okay, and now we go back to Flash. So on a layer underneath, we're going to import to stage, and he's there. We're going to lock that layer down. Now, to create a bit of depth, I'm going to add some more plants on the layers in front. Okay, now for additional depth, I'm going to take all these plants, I'm going to modify, convert them to a movie clip. I'm going to bring the brightness down to about 50%, just enough. Alright, we're getting somewhere. Select a spot way over here. How long shall we have this? How long is that? Press F5. 9 seconds? Yeah, that's plenty. So we're going to go publish settings, Flash, we're going to have to export this as a Shockwave file, and there we go. Now this next part has always been a bit of a ball ache for me because Shockwave files don't run in video editing software, so I always had to use screen capture like the way I'm doing now. But that would always result in horrible looking artifacting and ghosting, and it was just terrible because when Shockwave files run, it registers the individual objects moving, and that takes a toll on your graphics processing, which means you can get some really horrible lag. Like there's that shot in Forest Voices of the Deinonychus creeping through the undergrowth. When I first rendered that, it was lagging so hard I had to speed up the clip in post just to make it look good. But now I don't have to worry about that because literally last week I found out about a program called Swivel. It's a program developed by people from Newgrounds, so people who know animation and know animators, and it's so simple. You find your Shockwave file, you load it up, you hit convert, you let it do its thing for a bit. It is loud and frightening. And there you go, it's made it into an MP4 file. So now we go into Sony Movie Studio, my video editing software of choice, because we throw in our Hadro MP4, we stick it on the timeline, we get some sound effects, maybe stick a nice filter over it, and once all that's done, so there you have it. That's more or less my process for animation. Don't do what I do. This is not an efficient or professional way to do animation. This is just my process that I'm stuck with because I don't know any better. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned something from this. Now get out there and do better than me.